Real Virginia is produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Farming, it's all good. Visit our website at vafarmbureau.org.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesterfield Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all the wonderful local products we enjoy.
Part-time farmers often don't hear about animal disease threats right away. A new animal health network has been developed to spread news the old-fashioned way. We have some planting tips for those of you who are gearing up for spring gardens, and some dogs are meant for more than domestication. We'll take you to one farm that relies on their protection.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here at Strange's Florist and Greenhouse in Short Pump, Virginia, where they're getting ready for planting season, and we're going to have a story about how you can plan your gardens this summer later on. But first, we're going to talk about chickens, cattle, and horses. And for a lot of people in Virginia who are raising these animals, it's hard for them to find out about animal diseases. But as Norm Hyde reports, a network has been developed to help reach these owners.
Virginia has 42,000 part-time farmers who raise farm animals like horses, chickens, goats, or even cattle. So when it's necessary to quarantine animals or take steps to prevent spreading disease, it can take a while to reach them. That's why State Veterinarian Dr. Richard Wilkes says they're going back to the basics with the new Animal Health Network.
For the producers that work in a business, in an office, in an urban setting during the day and stop by the feed store on the way home to pick up some feed, we're hoping if there's an emergency situation that there would be a posting there that would tell them, look, this is going on, this is where you can go to get the information, or this is who you can call to get the information to tell you how you should be reacting.
In an age of smartphones and the internet, the Animal Health Network will rely on personal contacts between feed suppliers and their customers to pass along health warnings.
I think it's very much going back to ways that worked in the past. We had a much different sense of community. We had barbershops, we had country stores, places that people congregated to pick up a few items and to have some conversation, to visit with their neighbors. We've lost some of that, but we do see a lot of the local feed stores as one dimension of this older type community that does still exist and thrive in many cases.
The Animal Health Network will work with local cooperative extension offices and the State Department of Agriculture. It's already been tested several times with a high success rate in quickly spreading the word to feed stores across the state. Other methods of communication will also be used, like press releases and news stories, but this network will directly target small producers. Wilkes says he'd like to build a network that works well but is never needed. However, the truth is there are often animal disease outbreaks that all producers need to know about.
Equine herpes virus infections, which are neurological diseases of horses that can be very contagious. Foot and mouth disease is one that frightens us to death with regard to our cattle, and avian influenza is a concern both to the large flocks and to the small flocks. I do see this as good news. I see it as an acknowledgement of the significance of some of the smaller players in our livestock and poultry industries and an effort to find one more way to get information that they may need to them in a timely fashion.
If you have questions about the new Animal Health Network, contact your county cooperative extension agent or your local feed store. In Chesterfield County, Virginia, I'm Norm Hyde. For the past few decades, Chesterfield County has been known more for being the largest suburb of Richmond, the state capital. But this sprawling central Virginia county still has 220 farms, generating almost $5 million a year in crop and livestock sales. Grains and oilseeds are the top crops, followed by nursery products and cattle. Sweet potatoes and other vegetables are popular crops, and there's even a few aquaculture operations. And plenty of hay is raised here. Horses, ponies, and mules are also raised and boarded on more than 100 farms in Chesterfield County, Virginia.
Let's change the perception of modern farming and ranching from negative to one that inspires a nation. To rebuild the pride of farming that has existed for generations and propel forward what's possible. It's time to build upon what we all share instead of focusing on what sets us apart. Let's build a collective voice that is stronger than any one individual's. We need to cultivate the higher ground and lead the conversation about safe food. Now is the time to send an invitation where everyone has a seat at the table. Let's rally around the dinner table and serve up some food for thought, because it's time to feed people's minds as well as their bodies. We're all in this together. So let's get started.
Many gardeners are itching to get out and start planting, and with more on how you can start your seedlings is Chris Mullins from The Ground Up.
Hello and welcome. We're at Virginia State University's Randolph Farm. We're in a nice greenhouse here, and today we're going to be talking about starting seeds for your garden. Now, many of you, if you're like me, have already gotten your seed catalogs and thought about all the great seeds that are out there and the different varieties of things that you're going to plant this year. And so now you're also thinking a little bit about how I'm going to make transplants if I am. And a lot of the plants that you make transplants for is tomatoes and a lot of the cole crops and lettuces and peppers and eggplants and things like that. You're thinking about how to do that. And if you've got a sunny location, south-facing location, or a sunroom or a greenhouse, you can really make nice transplants. Today we've got some things I want to show you as far as how the types of containers that you'd use to put your transplants in, to make your transplants. A lot of you have used things like cups and egg cartons, and maybe even things like these cell packs that you can buy and put your media in and then put your seeds in. But today I want to show you something that's kind of interesting, something I've just started using this year, is a soil block maker or a soil blocker. And it makes a really nice soil block, much like you see here with this tomato plant growing in it. One of the advantages is you don't get roots that are bound up because you have air pruning that happens around this. And you also, if you use things like plastic, you don't have a lot of that extra plastic laying around. So let me demonstrate how this works. We have the soil blocker right here. The first thing I'm going to do is put some soilless media here. Let me grab some from over here, and we're going to place it right on this wooden board and spread it out. And this is a soil blocker. This one is 2 inches by 2 inches by 2 inches. You can see how it is made here. It's got a little plunger on the top. And it's real simple to use. You just push it into your media, wiggle it around, push it in there. This is called charging the blocker. We're just kind of getting lots of media in there and pressing it in nice and tight against this board. As we move that out of the way, then we just put it down here and we push the plunger, and we've made some soil blocks. Now you'll notice these blocks are pretty solid, and they also have a little indentation in the top, and that's to place your seed in. So because of the way this is made, it makes that little indentation. So you can put lots of seeds in that, and what you have is a nice compressed seed block where you can get lots of root growth. They'll air prune around there, and it'll be a nice little packet. You can also get these in different sizes. Something like this costs about $30. And like I said, this does 4 at a time, but you can see how quickly you can make those soil blocks. And you can just put those right in a flat, like you see here with these tomatoes, just very close and very efficient in the way that you're using these flats. And you can see how nicely they've done for those, for the lettuce here, for some peppers and things like that. A really nice product, a nice way to make a soil block. And I think this will do a good job for you. And for the soil blocker, the best type of media to use is a soilless type mix that you see here. This has got peat moss in it and perlite and a little bit of fertilizer, and it's fairly sterile because it's been pasteurized. And that's something good. It mixes real well, it's good for root growth, and it stays into a nice block like this. Now, as you're thinking this time of the year, thinking about crops to put in the ground, of course the cole crops, spinach, bok choy, lettuce, all these things are great to put into the ground in the cooler weather. Another one in the cooler weather are peas, and in this case we've got sugar snap peas. Now this is not something you would make a transplant of. You would just direct seed this into the ground, but as a demonstration here I wanted to show you what they look like when they're getting started. But these are great for the home gardener. They make a pod that's edible. Just like the snow peas, although the snow peas have a small seed in there and you harvest those when they're immature, the sugar snap peas, you let the peas or the seeds get a little bit larger and almost fully mature when you harvest them. They're very sweet, very good to eat, and they're fairly easy to grow. Again, they need cool weather to grow. It takes them about 60 days to grow for most varieties, and in Virginia, you've got to plant those pretty early to get that cool weather. They'll withstand some light frost and come back as long as it's not too strong. But this is something that you would trellis up. Most of these are vining type plants, so you'd plant them 3 to 4 seeds in a row, let them come up and have some type of trellis over them. And they'll vine right up there and you'll have nice sugar snap peas to harvest and eat. Well, for more information on starting seeds or some of the cole crops or some of the other spring crops, please contact your local county extension office. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. Please join us next time.
Up next on Real Virginia, fresh catfish is on the menu in the heart of the home.
Being on my side, being a consumer, there's a lot of talk about what goes on at farms. How could you make me feel better as a mother knowing that what I'm buying is safe?
You know, we have the opportunity to eat the pork and the beef that we grow on our farm, but I'm just like you. I go to the grocery store each and every week and have to make food choices. When I enter the grocery store, I'm selecting dairy products or fresh fruits and vegetables, and I'm depending on a farmer to produce that for me, and I have confidence in them.
The most important thing is the health of the animal. My family eats the pork that I would sell to you. We're accountable for everything we do.
When we sit down to a juicy pork chop hot off the grill, it pleases us as farmers that we not only can provide that for our own children, but we're working for you, and we want to provide you with healthy choices.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Hi, I'm Kendra Bailey Morris, and welcome to the Heart of the Home. We are here in Sorlatab's kitchen in Richmond, Virginia, which is gorgeous, as you can tell. And today we're going to be making a cornmeal fried catfish with a roasted tomato tapenade. It's a really, really delicious combination. You have the fried catfish, which obviously everybody loves that, and a roasted the tapenade is basically a take on a traditional tapenade, which has olives and a little bit of cider vinegar in it mixed together with tomatoes, and in this case we're going to go ahead and roast the tomatoes, which adds a whole different element, and you're going to serve this on top of the catfish, or beside the catfish, however you want to do it. So what we're going to start with is making our tomato tapenade, and I'm just taking some tomatoes here, and basically what you're looking for is a tomato that's in season, and they're not always in season, so any type of hothouse tomato would work really great for this. You could use a Roma tomato. In this case, I'm just using grape tomatoes. You could use cherry tomatoes. Whatever you can find that's fresh and delicious, and ideally from Virginia, you can use that. And I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Just toss this together. I've got about a teaspoon or so of fresh garlic. And then I've got some shallot as well. I'd say the equivalent of about 2 large shallots or so. And then I'm also going to add some oregano, fresh oregano. You could use any type of herb that you like in here. I really like the flavor of fresh oregano, and also some fresh parsley. And I'm going to season this with a little salt. And I'm going to turn down my oven before it catches on fire. And I'm going to add some black pepper. And I'm just going to toss this around, unless you would like it to be. And then I'm just going to spread this in a sheet pan, like so. And this is a well-sprayed and oiled sheet pan because you want to make sure that these don't stick. And I'm going to pop this in the oven until my tomatoes are nice and soft and everything is roasted together real nicely. I would say probably about 20 minutes or so. And I have got some fish soaking in some milk, and buttermilk actually, and you could use regular milk as well if you like. In this case, I have codfish, and I've mentioned catfish a couple of times, and I'll tell you the story. I went to the store and I didn't find that the catfish was particularly appealing and fresh enough for me, so I got codfish. So basically with this particular recipe, any type of fleshy white fish would work nicely. Rockfish, Virginia rockfish, for example, would be great. And I've got this soaking in the buttermilk, and that helps to tenderize it just a bit. I've got some self-rising cornmeal flour and a little bit of ground corn flour here, and then some Cajun seasoning mix. And I'm going to add, again, just a little bit of salt to this and a little bit of black pepper. Cajun seasoning mix, by the way, tends to already have a lot of salt in it. And now I'm just going to toss these in here. And I'm going to use my hands because it's much easier. And what I have in my pan is some Crisco. You could fry in peanut oil if you like to fry in peanut oil. I really like Crisco a lot for frying. It definitely holds a high flash point, which is a very high level of heat before it starts to smoke. But feel free to use whatever you like. You could be really decadent and use bacon grease or butter. And I'm just going to lay these in the pan. There we go. And I'm going to fry them about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes on each side until they're nice and crispy and brown. And I'm going to be doing this while my tapenade is cooking. And we'll be right back and we'll finish the dish. Okay, and I think our tapenade is done. Oh yeah. This looks really good. And you can see that the onions, or the shallots rather, have caramelized really nicely here. And our tomatoes are starting to get nice and soft. Really, really good. And that was about 20 minutes approximately. So now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to scrape it directly into the bowl. You could certainly chop these up more if you wanted to, which in the recipe that accompanies this, it actually suggests, but it's totally up to you. I mean, these are kind of nice and chopped up already. And I want to make sure I get as many of these pan juices in here as well. I mean, these are so soft you can just mush them up just like this. And now we're going to add in some Kalamata olives and some capers, and this is what makes it quintessential to a tapenade, is this really nice piquant flavor that's in there that comes from these salty olives and capers, which are really wonderful. I'm also going to add a touch of Tabasco. Of course, you can totally leave this out if you don't want to add hot sauce in. Also in the recipe, it calls for adding sugar in the beginning, which I left that out this time because I felt these tomatoes were nice and sweet. But you can add that in if you like things sweeter. And finally, a little bit of cider vinegar, really about a 1/4 teaspoon or so. Okay. And our fish is done. You can see it's nice and brown on both sides. And I'm just going to take a piece here. Another piece here. And the tapenade is really just an accompaniment. So you can just serve it on the side or serve it on a bowl, or serve it in a bowl on the side with this and let people help themselves. Totally up to you. You could add a little tartar sauce with this as well on the side. Okay, and here you have it, cornmeal fried fish. Any type of white fish will do. In this case, we use cod, but you could certainly use catfish with a roasted tomato tapenade. I'm Kendra Bailey Morris. Let's get cooking.
For more videos of dishes from the heart of the home, go to the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafarmbureau.org.
Aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms such as fish, shellfish, and even plants. Each year, $32.5 million of farm-raised aquaculture products are sold in Virginia. $26.5 million of those sales are for saltwater products, while $6 million are for freshwater fish and other products. Clams, a saltwater product, are the leading species with more than $20.3 million in gross sales. In addition to clams, Virginia is known for top-quality soft-shell crabs and oysters from the Chesapeake Bay. And the Old Dominion has large freshwater production facilities where tilapia accounted for more than 75% of sales. Trout make up the bulk of the remaining fish products.
Farmers sometimes rely on family and friends to help them with their daily chores. But as Veronica Romoser reports, man's best friend may indeed be a farmer's best worker.
Seeing a dog on the farm certainly isn't uncommon, but often they're more than just house pets.
These don't know how to sit. They don't know how to stay. You know, as far as sit and stay, they stay with the livestock.
At Little Meadow Farm in Doswell, Virginia, Wyatt and Maggie have a job to do: protect the goats and the farm.
These are not herding dogs. These will not round up the sheep or the goats and bring them to the barn. Unless there's something in the field, you know, then they do. But they don't work the cows down the chute and do that sort of stuff. Their sole job is protecting the livestock.
Goat farmers like Glenn Martin face many problems with predators attacking their livestock. But with the dogs around, Martin doesn't worry about that.
We do have in this area coyotes, as well as neighborhood dogs. After 11 years, and I've had the dogs ever since I've had the goats here, I've had no problems whatsoever. Actually, I don't worry about theft or folks coming here and taking anything because they do put on a really good show. And it's amazing how smart they are. When I rotate pastures, the dogs pretty much lead the way and they stay in the pasture that I rotate them to. I don't have to worry about them leaving from where they're at and going to the next place.
While having extra mouths to feed may not seem economical, Martin says it could cost you more not to have them.
You only have to lose a couple lambs or a couple goats, kids, before the dog's paid for himself. I have no death loss to predators, so I've eliminated that potential expense.
Originally, most all dog breeds were trained and bred for a purpose. Working dogs have natural instincts bred into them over centuries.
This is who they are, their purpose, and why they live. A good farmer, a good, in terms of husbandry or management, a good farmer or a good person who handles a working dog would never put them in a harm's way or in a position where they weren't benefited or healthy. I have a lot of farmers that cherish and work hard with their working or shepherding dogs, and they're very well taken care of, but they're bred for these environments.
And because of those instincts, these guardian dogs don't take much training.
It's more of an issue of training the people that get them. The dogs, it's pretty much a natural instinct. These are born in the field. They stay in the field with the livestock 24/7. He would have heart failure if I took him away from him, you know, just because it's all he's ever known is to be with the goats and stuff, and he's terribly upset if you try to shut him away from them.
Sometimes it's hard work, but a guardian dog's job is never over.
It could be snow on the ground, and that's where they're going to be, right out there. If they're up in that field, then the goats might be out grazing around, and one of them is going to be sitting on top of the hill just looking out. Wyatt, in his older age, that's what he'll do. Most people think that you need to take them home and keep them in a stall or keep them in the house or keep them in the yard. You're best to just put them right in with the livestock.
That's where these farm dogs are most happy. In Doswell, Virginia, I'm Veronica Romoser.
We're so glad you could join us for this episode of Real Virginia. Whether it's in your home, your garden, your landscape, or our wide open spaces, we're proud to know that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good month.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesterfield County.